Welcome to Wisdom Matrix 1111. Today, we'll dive deep into Mastery by Robert Greene, chapter by chapter. This book is packed with timeless lessons on learning, creativity, and personal development that can help you unlock your potential and achieve excellence in any field. It's one of the most inspiring books ever written on developing mastery, and I can't wait to explore it with you. So let's dive in. Chapter 1. Discover your calling, the life's task. Every person has unique inclinations that point toward a particular path in life. Long before concerns about money, status, or approval shape our decisions, there are often signs of what naturally draws our attention and curiosity. These clues are usually easiest to find in childhood. As children, we gravitate towards certain activities simply because they interest us. We explore, imagine, create, or immerse ourselves in subjects that feel alive to us. Over time, however, social expectations and the desire for acceptance can pull us away from these natural inclinations. Mastery begins with reconnecting to them. Before you can excel at anything, you must first discover the work that genuinely resonates with your nature. This doesn't usually happen through a sudden revelation. More often, it unfolds gradually as you follow your interests, gain experience, and remain open to unexpected opportunities along the way. So how do you find your life's task? The search often begins by looking backward. Think about what fascinated you when you were young. What activities absorbed your attention? What subjects sparked your curiosity? These early interests often contain valuable clues about your natural strengths and deeper motivations. From there, focus on finding the right niche. Rather than searching for one perfect purpose, begin with a broad area that genuinely interests you. As you learn and explore, your direction will become more refined. Sometimes your unique path emerges by combining different interests or fields of knowledge. At the same time, be careful of the false path. Many people pursue careers based primarily on money, prestige, approval, or social expectations. Although such paths may appear successful from the outside, they often create frustration because they are disconnected from one's deeper nature. Greene encourages honesty in distinguishing between what you truly want and what others expect you to want. Sometimes, letting go of the past is essential. Your loyalty should not be to a particular title, career, or identity, but to your life's task itself. If a change of direction becomes necessary, embrace it. Every experience can contribute to your growth. And if you have drifted away from your true path, return to it. The important thing is not how far you have wandered, but whether you are willing to come back. Once you commit yourself fully, your actions gradually begin to align with your purpose. Mastery begins with self-knowledge. Before you can develop mastery, you must first know where to direct your efforts. You must discover the work that awakens your curiosity, sustains your motivation, and gives meaning to your struggles. Once you do, discipline comes more easily, learning feels more rewarding, and persistence feels more natural. Ultimately, your life's task is not something society gives you. It's something you uncover by listening closely to your own nature and having the courage to pursue the path that truly resonates with your authentic self. And that's where the journey to mastery begins. Chapter 2. Submit to reality, the ideal apprenticeship. After finding your life's task, the next step is building the foundation for mastery. Greene calls this stage the apprenticeship. Most people enter a career focused on money, status, or recognition. Apprentices think differently. Their primary goal is learning. The best opportunity is not necessarily the most prestigious one, but the one that offers the greatest chance to develop skills, gain experience, and understand how a field truly works. Greene breaks the apprenticeship into 3 stages: deep observation, skills acquisition, and experimentation. Let's begin with the first stage, deep observation, or the passive mode. When entering a new environment, Resist the urge to prove yourself immediately. Instead, just observe carefully. Observe everything necessary to understand the people, culture, and dynamics at play. Every profession operates according to both visible and invisible rules. There are power dynamics, habits, customs, and relationships that determine how things function beneath the surface. The best apprentices remain curious, patient, and humble. Rather than seeking attention, they focus on understanding the reality around them. The more accurately you read the environment, the more effectively you will navigate it later. The second stage is skills acquisition, or the practice mode. Observation must eventually become action. Every field contains a set of core skills that form the foundation for everything else. Identify those essentials and focus on mastering them one at a time. Practice is rarely exciting. It can be repetitive, slow, and frustrating. Yet this is precisely where growth occurs. The discipline required to push through boredom strengthens the mind and gradually transforms knowledge into competence. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. Confidence grows through genuine ability, not wishful thinking. The third stage is experimentation, the active mode. As your skills develop, you must become more active and independent. This is the stage of experimentation. Test ideas, explore new approaches, and look for creative ways to combine different skills. Some attempts will fail, but failure often teaches more than success. Greene also emphasizes the value of working with your hands whenever possible. Building, fixing, creating, and designing develop practical intelligence that cannot be learned from theory alone. The more directly you engage with reality, the more effectively you learn from it. So how do you complete this apprenticeship phase? To complete this phase successfully, adopt the mindset of a lifelong learner. Value learning above immediate rewards. Expand your horizons by reading widely and exploring beyond the limits of your field. Maintain the curiosity of a beginner even as your knowledge grows. Trust the process. Progress is rarely linear, and meaningful growth often occurs beneath the surface long before results become visible. Move toward challenges rather than away from them. The difficulties you avoid are often the ones that offer the greatest lessons for improvement. Most importantly, do not fear failure. Test your ideas against reality. Learn from mistakes. Use setbacks as feedback rather than proof of inadequacy. Throughout the apprenticeship, strive to understand not only what people do, but how and why they do it. Surface knowledge is never enough. True understanding comes from seeing the deeper mechanisms at work. The apprenticeship is a period of transformation. Through observation, repetition, experimentation, discipline, and failure, raw interest gradually evolves into real capability. The apprenticeship is more than preparation for mastery. It is the stage where mastery begins to take shape. Chapter 3. Absorb the master's power, the mentor dynamic. After discovering your life's task and enduring the apprenticeship phase, Greene explains that one of the fastest ways to accelerate growth is by learning directly from someone who has already achieved deep expertise in your field. He calls this relationship the mentor dynamic. No matter how intelligent, talented, or motivated you may be, there are limits to what you can learn entirely on your own. Trial and error is a powerful teacher, but it is also slow. Time is limited. Learning everything through personal experience may sound admirable, but it's often inefficient. A mentor allows you to bypass many unnecessary mistakes by giving you access to years, sometimes decades, of accumulated experience. Therefore, the mentor-protégé relationship is among the most effective forms of learning ever developed. At this stage, your primary goal should be to acquire skill and knowledge as efficiently as possible. This is where a mentor becomes invaluable. A great mentor does more than provide information. They help you focus on what truly matters, challenge your assumptions, reveal weaknesses in your thinking, and offer feedback that might otherwise take years to discover on your own. Mentorship often works best through direct interaction. Books and courses can provide information, but personal guidance offers insights that are difficult to gain any other way. Finding a mentor is only the beginning. To gain the greatest benefit from the relationship, you must approach it with the right mindset. The first step is to choose the right mentor. Not every successful person is the right teacher for you. Look for mentors whose strengths complement your weaknesses. Some provide structure and discipline, while others encourage creativity and independence. Often, the best mentor is the one who gives you exactly what you need most at your current stage of development. Once you have found the right mentor, learn to gaze into the mentor's mirror. A true mentor helps you see yourself clearly. They reveal strengths you may overlook and weaknesses you would rather ignore. Their criticism may sometimes be uncomfortable, but it is often far more valuable than praise. The ability to accept honest feedback without becoming defensive is one of the fastest paths to improvement. Just as important, learn to transform their knowledge into your own. The purpose of mentorship is not imitation. Study your mentor's methods, ideas, and experience, but don't become a copy of them. Adapt what you learn to fit your own personality, interests, and strengths. The goal is not to become your mentor. The goal is to become yourself. Finally, strive to create a mutual exchange. As your skills grow, the relationship naturally evolves. What begins as a one-way transfer of knowledge gradually becomes a dialogue. Your questions become more insightful, your contributions become more valuable, and mutual respect develops. Ultimately, the highest form of mentorship is not dependence, but growth. A mentor helps awaken your potential, and eventually you continue forward on a path that is uniquely your own. Next, Chapter 4. See people as they are, social intelligence. Many people believe mastery is mainly about talent, knowledge, or technical skill. Robert Greene argues that mastery depends just as much on your ability to understand and navigate people. Every field contains hidden politics, rivalries, alliances, and unspoken rules. If you constantly misread others or become trapped in unnecessary conflicts, you waste valuable energy that could be directed toward learning and growth. Social intelligence begins with seeing people as they really are. Most people are quick to form opinions about others, often based more on their own projections than on reality. Social intelligence requires patience. The better approach is to observe patiently and allow people to reveal their true nature over time. Pay less attention to words alone. Notice tone of voice, body language, facial expressions, and recurring patterns of behavior. First impressions are often misleading. Consistency over time tells a much more accurate story. One way to develop social intelligence is by understanding what Greene calls the 7 deadly realities of human nature. These are recurring tendencies that appear in nearly everyone. The better you recognize them, the more effectively you can navigate social situations and avoid unnecessary conflict. The first is envy. Envy is one of the most powerful and least acknowledged human emotions. People naturally compare themselves to others. When someone appears more successful, talented, attractive, or fortunate, feelings of resentment can quietly emerge beneath the surface. Because envy is uncomfortable to admit, it often disguises itself. Excessive praise, exaggerated friendliness, or unusual curiosity can sometimes conceal competitive feelings. Greene advises avoiding unnecessary displays of superiority. A touch of humility and self-deprecating humor can often diffuse envy before it grows into hostility. The second is conformism. Human beings possess a deep desire to belong. Within groups, this desire frequently leads people to suppress their individuality in order to gain acceptance. Opinions begin to converge. Independent thinking weakens. The pressure to fit in becomes surprisingly powerful. If you naturally think differently, there is no need to advertise it constantly. Open rebellion often creates resistance. A more effective approach is to maintain your independence quietly while understanding the social dynamics around you. Third, rigidity. Life is complex, and most people cope with that complexity by relying on habits, routines, and fixed ways of thinking. Over time, these patterns become deeply ingrained. People grow attached to familiar beliefs and resist anything that challenges them. Greene suggests accepting this reality instead of constantly fighting it. At the same time, guard against becoming rigid yourself. Continue questioning assumptions, exploring new ideas, and remaining mentally flexible. Fourth, self-obsessiveness. Most people spend far more time thinking about themselves than they do about anyone else. This is not necessarily selfishness, it is simply part of human nature. When you need cooperation, support, or influence, focus less on your own desires and more on what matters to the other person. Learn to see situations from their perspective. The better you understand their interests and motivations, the more effective your interactions will become. The fifth is laziness. People generally prefer the path of least resistance. They look for shortcuts, avoid unnecessary effort, and gravitate toward what feels easiest. This tendency affects everyone to some degree. In professional settings, it is important to protect your ideas and ensure that your contributions are clearly recognized. Sixth, flightiness. We like to believe that our decisions are guided by logic. In reality, emotions exert tremendous influence over our thoughts and actions. Moods change, priorities shift, enthusiasm fades. What feels important today may be forgotten tomorrow. Therefore, avoid judging people solely by what they say in a particular moment. Instead, pay attention to long-term patterns. Consistent behavior reveals far more than temporary emotions. Seventh, passive aggression. Many people fear direct confrontation. Rather than expressing frustration openly, they communicate it indirectly through sarcasm, subtle sabotage, avoidance, or hidden resentment. When dealing with such people, focus on actions rather than explanations. What people consistently do matters far more than what they claim to intend. When dealing with highly passive-aggressive individuals, maintaining distance is often the wisest course. Understanding human nature is only the beginning. The next step is learning how to develop social intelligence in practice. One of the most effective ways is to speak through your work. The quality of your work often communicates more effectively than self-promotion. Excellence earns respect naturally. Another important skill is to craft the appropriate persona. People form impressions quickly. Be conscious of how you present yourself and make sure your image supports your goals. Just as important, learn to see yourself as others see you. Study your past mistakes, recurring conflicts, and personal blind spots. Self-awareness is one of the most valuable forms of intelligence. And finally, learn to suffer fools gladly. Difficult people exist in every environment. Rather than wasting energy trying to change them, accept their presence, learn what you can, and stay focused on your larger purpose. Mastery requires concentration. The less energy you spend on unnecessary battles, the more energy you can devote to your life's work. Chapter 5. Awaken the dimensional mind, the creative active. By this stage, you have developed skills, experience, and confidence. Yet this is also where many people stop growing. They become comfortable with what they know and gradually lose the curiosity that once drove them forward. Masters avoid this trap. They continue experimenting. They preserve the openness of a beginner while possessing the expertise of a veteran. This combination allows them to see possibilities others miss. Creativity is not a rare gift. It's the natural result of deep knowledge combined with the courage to challenge assumptions and explore new directions. Robert Greene suggests that awakening the dimensional mind requires three things: the right creative challenge, the right mental strategies, and the conditions that allow insight to emerge. Along the way, you must also guard against emotional habits that can quietly undermine creativity. Every great creative effort begins with genuine fascination. The work must connect to something that deeply interests you. When a project excites you, it generates energy of its own and gives you the persistence to overcome difficulties. At the same time, the challenge must be realistic. It should stretch your abilities while remaining connected to the skills and knowledge you have already developed. Creative work also requires comfort with uncertainty. There are no guarantees, no clear maps, and no predictable outcomes. In many ways, the creative person resembles an explorer. New territory cannot be discovered from the safety of the shore. Once you've chosen the right challenge, the next step is applying what Greene calls creative strategies, practical ways to expand your thinking and encourage new insights. You must prepare your mind for creative thinking. The mind is like a muscle. It gradually becomes rigid if it's not continually exercised. Creativity requires flexibility. One way to develop this flexibility is through negative capability, the ability to remain with uncertainty without rushing toward conclusions. Instead of immediately judging what you see, learn to observe patiently and allow deeper insights to emerge. Creativity also benefits from serendipity. Many breakthroughs begin with unexpected observations, conversations, or ideas. Many valuable ideas appear when you least expect them and disappear just as quickly. Keeping a notebook nearby allows you to capture them before they fade away. Equally important is curiosity. Follow ideas that interest you. Investigate anomalies. Explore details that others overlook. Creative people don't simply accept what they see, they dig deeper. They ask questions, investigate anomalies, and remain curious about details that others ignore. Often the breakthrough comes from examining something everyone else dismissed as unimportant. Another important factor is emotion. The way we see the world is often influenced by how we feel. Perception is often shaped by emotions, such as fear. Fear can make challenges seem larger than they really are, while overconfidence can cause us to overlook important details. Creative progress is rarely linear. Periods of frustration often force you to rethink your approach, and that adjustment can eventually lead to a better solution. Finally, creativity often benefits from visual thinking. Diagrams, sketches, and models can reveal patterns and connections that words alone may miss. Now let's talk about what Greene calls the creative breakthrough. Every creative journey eventually reaches a difficult phase. The excitement fades, progress slows, ideas stop flowing. For a period of time, it feels as though nothing is working. This stage is not a sign that you have failed. In many cases, it's a sign that you are approaching a breakthrough. The key is persistence. Keep working on the challenge, even when progress feels slow. Continue refining your ideas, testing new approaches, and learning from what doesn't work. Many breakthroughs come only after a long period of trial and error. As you continue developing creatively, be aware of emotional pitfalls that can interfere with progress and limit your growth. Several emotional traps repeatedly interfere with creativity. Complacency makes us believe there is nothing left to learn. Another trap is conservatism. After achieving success, many people become reluctant to take risks. They begin repeating familiar methods instead of exploring new possibilities, and creativity gradually suffers as a result. Dependency keeps us relying on the judgment of others rather than developing our own standards. Impatience tempts us to rush a process that cannot be rushed. Then comes grandiosity. Praise can be intoxicating. It tempts people to believe their success is entirely their own doing. Masters remain grounded. They understand the roles played by circumstance, timing, and the contributions of others. Finally, there is inflexibility. The creative mind must remain adaptable. Certainty can become a prison. Growth requires a willingness to revise opinions and abandon outdated assumptions. Now let's talk about strategies of the creative active phase. The first is the authentic voice. A unique voice cannot be forced. It develops naturally through years of learning, practice, and immersion. The deeper your mastery becomes, the more your unique voice reveals itself. The second is the fact of great yield. Many breakthroughs begin with a small anomaly that others ignore. Stay open to unusual observations and ideas, especially those that come from outside your field. Third, mechanical intelligence. Whatever you create, engage with it directly. Test it, use it, and experience it firsthand. Direct involvement develops an intuitive understanding that cannot be gained from a distance. The fourth is natural powers. Allow ideas time to mature, explore broadly, remain patient, and learn to appreciate the value of slow, steady development. Fifth, the open field. Every field develops conventions that people eventually accept without question. Creative individuals challenge these assumptions and search for new possibilities. The sixth strategy is the high end. The more skilled you become, the easier it is to get lost in technical details. Masters avoid this trap by constantly stepping back and asking whether their work is still serving its original purpose. Always keep sight of the larger purpose behind your work. Seventh, the evolutionary hijack. The most successful innovators are often the most adaptable. Creativity depends less on brilliance than on the ability to adjust, reframe, and evolve. 8. Dimensional thinking. Masters examine problems from multiple angles. They look beyond isolated facts and search for deeper patterns and connections. Finally, there is alchemical creativity and the unconscious. Life is full of contradictions. Things can be intellectual and sensual, pleasurable and painful, real and unreal at the same time. Yet most people try to force reality into simple categories. Creative individuals explore the unconscious and contradictory parts of themselves, the hidden desires, contradictions and tensions that shape human experience. When these are expressed through their work, they often resonate deeply because they reveal truths and emotions that people sense but rarely put into words. Some of the most powerful works emerge from confronting the hidden and contradictory aspects of human nature. Finally, Chapter 6. Fuse the intuitive with the rational. Mastery. Mastery is the highest stage of human development. It's the point where years of learning, practice, and experience become so deeply internalized that they transform into intuition. At the beginning of any journey, everything appears fragmented. You learn techniques, memorize rules, struggle with details. Your attention is consumed by individual parts. With enough time and immersion, however, the pieces begin fitting together. You no longer think through every step. You develop a feel for the whole. What once required conscious effort now feels natural. You can sense patterns that others miss and respond to situations almost instinctively. This higher intelligence is not mysterious. It's the result of deep engagement with a field over many years. The key is not simply spending time. Many people accumulate years without accumulating mastery. What matters is the quality of attention you bring to the process. Knowledge must be tested, applied, questioned, and absorbed until it becomes part of you. Failures play an important role here. Most people try to forget mistakes as quickly as possible. Masters do the opposite. They examine setbacks carefully. They look for recurring weaknesses. They treat disappointment as information. In this way, experience becomes wisdom. The ability to turn experience into wisdom is more important today than ever before. Modern life overwhelms us with information. Every profession grows more complex. The tendency is to become anxious whenever we face something difficult or chaotic. People who have attained mastery respond differently. Instead of becoming intimidated by complexity, they learn to remain calm in its presence. They trust the preparation and experience they have accumulated over time. Another challenge of modern life is the gradual erosion of memory. Technology gives us immediate access to information, but it also encourages dependence on external storage. We remember less because we know we can always look things up later. Greene recommends actively resisting this tendency. Learn a language, play an instrument, study a game that requires strategy and recall. Any activity that strengthens the mind while bringing genuine enjoyment serves a valuable purpose. Mastery, then, is not merely the accumulation of knowledge. It's the development of a richer and more powerful way of thinking. Yet there is another ingredient involved. Throughout history, masters have shared a quality that cannot be reduced to talent or intelligence. At crucial moments, they choose to trust their own path. Their direction may seem unconventional. Others may question it. Yet they continue because their intuition tells them they are moving towards something meaningful. This willingness to follow one's own nature is what transforms expertise into mastery. To attain mastery, Greene points to 7 essential principles. The first is connect to your environment, primal powers. It begins with learning how to observe. Most people move through life distracted, noticing only what demands their attention. Masters are different. They remain alert to details, patterns, and subtle signals that others overlook. They don't dismiss things too quickly. Every environment contains valuable clues for those who take the time to look closely. To develop this sensitivity, spend less time seeking constant stimulation, observe more, react less, and allow your own eyes and mind to become your primary tools once again. The second is play to your strengths, supreme focus. There is no single path to mastery. What matters is finding an approach that fits your natural inclinations. Work becomes far more powerful when it aligns with the way you think and learn. Many people spend years fighting against themselves. They attempt to excel in areas that bring little interest or energy. Masters understand their strengths. They build upon them. The better you know your own nature, the easier it becomes to focus your efforts where they will have the greatest effect. Third, transform yourself through practice, the fingertip feel. Modern culture loves stories about talent. Practice rarely receives the same attention. Yet mastery is built through repetition. Skill develops through thousands of hours spent refining, correcting, and improving. Over time, what once felt awkward becomes effortless. Knowledge moves from the head into the body. You no longer calculate every move, you simply know. This is the fingertip feel, a level of understanding so deep that it becomes instinctive. Fourth, internalize the details, the life force. Every great work possesses a certain vitality. You can feel it in a painting, a piece of music, a business, or a product. It seems alive. This quality emerges from deep familiarity with the details. Masters study their craft so thoroughly that they begin sensing the living essence behind it. Their work reflects that understanding. It carries presence. It feels authentic. Fifth, widen your vision, the global perspective. People often become trapped by the immediate moment. Masters step back. They look beyond today's problem and consider the larger picture. They think in terms of years rather than days. They recognize how individual events connect to broader forces. This wider perspective allows them to anticipate developments before others see them coming. Sixth, submit to the other, the inside-out perspective. One of the greatest limitations of human nature is our tendency to view everything from our own perspective. We assume others think as we do. Often they don't. Mastery therefore requires a serious effort to understand people from the inside, rather than merely judging them from the outside. This ability never becomes perfect. We can never fully enter another person's experience, but the closer we come, the greater our understanding becomes. Finally, seventh, synthesize all forms of knowledge, the universal man or woman. Knowledge is becoming increasingly interconnected. The boundaries between disciplines are far less rigid than they once seemed, and many of the most important breakthroughs emerge when ideas from different fields come together. For that reason, masters resist intellectual boundaries. They remain curious, continue learning, and explore well beyond the limits of their own profession. The goal is not to know everything. It's to develop the ability to recognize connections that others overlook. And it's often within those unexpected connections that the most original ideas are born. So there you have it, the full summary of Mastery by Robert Greene. Throughout the book, Greene reveals that mastery is not the result of talent alone, but of discovering your true calling, committing yourself to continuous learning, embracing creativity, and developing the wisdom that comes only through experience. Each chapter offers practical principles for unlocking your potential and steadily moving toward excellence in whatever path you choose. If you're looking to develop exceptional skill, do work that truly fulfills you, and reach your highest potential, Mastery is absolutely a must-read. By applying the principles explored throughout the 6 chapters of the book, you can learn more effectively, think more creatively, overcome obstacles with greater resilience, and gradually build the kind of mastery that leads to meaningful and lasting success. Thank you for tuning in to Wisdom Matrix 1111. Please help support the channel by subscribing, liking the video, and sharing. Keep pursuing mastery, keep learning, and becoming the very best at what you do. Until next time, peace.